Now we're going to move to a fundamental issue in foster care, early childhood development, in parenting, in public policy, in the raisings of humans. And we're going to do a little revision of the work that was done in the mid-50s of the last century. And the reason for it, I hope, will be clear. Here what we're going to do is we're going to differentiate attachment, bonding, and connectedness in a brief way. Attachment, I will argue here now, is a midbrain process. Nothing wrong with that. It's important. It's natural, normal. It always occurs. But it may be rooted in insecurity or in fear. It can be anxious or secure. It can occur to inanimate objects, which is a clue right there. And it may be masochistic. Girls get attached to their pimps. Kids get attached to very, very abusive parents. But the point here is that it's essentially unidirectional. And it's this unidirectional thing that gives me pause. So here we see one of Harlow's monkeys, and he's attached to this terry cloth blanket. They did some pretty cool experiments back then. They took these little monkeys away from their mothers, and they would become attached to pieces of towel, or to wire mothers. So they become entirely attached. Now this monkey is providing how much feedback to the infant? 0. How much is this monkey helping the other monkey's brain develop, the baby monkey's brain develop? Not at all. Is this monkey attached to this mother? Yes, it is. If you try and take it away, the monkey gets upset. So attachment is a unidirectional process. It occurs at the level of the midbrain. It can be based on insecurity or fear, and it's not particularly useful for brain development. And so attachment is not all that we've made it out to be. So Harlow's monkeys, when they grew up, what happened? They were unable to socialize. They were unable to form stable pairs. They were anhedonic, which just means they didn't enjoy anything. They were depressed. They were lethargic, listless, often isolated, anxious, or withdrawn, sometimes aggressive, and socially inept, and also, and this is critically important, unable to raise their own young. So that creates a cycle. So is Linus attached to the blanket? Yeah. What happens if you try and take the blanket away from Linus? He screams to high heaven. Okay. How much is that blanket helping Linus? In the real terms, not much. So I want to talk about that in contradistinction to reciprocal connectedness and attunement. Reciprocal connectedness is a higher brain function. It's at the cortex level. It changes the structure of the brain. Those synapses, those synaptic connections, those form or do not form according to the experiences or lack of experiences of the child. This reciprocal connectedness is required for normal emotional, cognitive, and social development. It's required to develop interpersonal skills. You have to have it. I'll show you why. And it's the foundation for social integration. So this is what it looks like. This mother and this child are locked in a dance. And this dance is called both reciprocal connectedness and, in this case, attunement. This child's brain is taking in things at an astronomical rate. Through the eyes, through the ears, through the touch. The child is learning, and also the mother's brain is also interacting too. It's reciprocally reacting. And so if the child smiles, the mother smiles back or coos, "Coochie, coochie, 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 coochie." The baby also responds to that, and then the baby starts giggling, and then the mother starts laughing. And that reciprocity of dance is critically important for brain development. Now, and see what's happening is the child is learning about facial expression, but as importantly, about the world. Is the world responsive? Does the world care? Is the world there? Basic foundational things about how the world is depends on this primary relationship with the mother or the father or the caregiver, foster parent, whomever it may be, adoptive parent, and I'm sure of leaving people out. But the point is that this dance of reciprocity and this attunement is foundational for later capacities for interpersonal success and integration in the world. We need to know, how good are they going to be with a kid. And these are the things we look at: emotional availability, degree of flexibility, consistency, range of affect, not just all serious or all silly, but the range, the capacity for both, genuine playfulness, not fake stuff, the genuinely playful, the initiation of affectionate interactions, not just responding to the child, but also initiating affectionate interactions. Sense of humor is absolutely essential. If you meet someone without a sense of humor, you can just turn around and run the other way. If it's your pastor, or if it's your accountant, or if it's whoever it is, it's deeply pathological. Just head out. And then patience. Now the other thing we discovered, you design something for one thing, but we discovered that this particular list, you can laminate it, shrink it down into a wallet-sized card, laminate it, put it in your purse or your wallet, and then when you go on a date, you just kind of like, you look at it underneath the table and just kind of check it out. It works really well. So I offer that as another rationale. Now let's talk about attunement. Attunement is not something that you're going to hear much about, except maybe later. Now you'll hear more about it. But attunement is a deep and genuine, significant connection with another human being. And the archetypical relationship was the one I showed you between that mother or that father and that child, where they're completely attuned. They're merging. They become one unit, and their brains are both developing and both responding to each other in such a manner that both of them are growing. Now, this occurs in human life in genuine love relationships. And it's a really good feeling. And it occurs at different times during that love relationship, some of which I'll leave to your imagination. But they include that kind of really, really, really connected, really, really merged, beautiful state of being one with somebody else. That's attunement. But you can be attuned to larger things as well. But I use this example because we're talking about children at this point. So there you go. Now there's a cute baby, and automatically your midbrain responds, okay? Because we're hardwired to respond. And you see that little baby and you want to go, oh, you want to do something, if the kids, you're in the grocery, you're walking down the aisle in the grocery store, and the little kid goes by in the stroller, and this one happens to be cute, so you like reach down and you play with them, right? That's normal, that's natural, you're hardwired to do that. And what goes for mothers also goes for fathers, very much so, and this is the process. You see how he's touching and feeling and learning everything about facial expression. And what we call games or play with children is not that at all. It's actually laying down very, very fundamental neurological, biological, mental substrates and foundations for later capacities. So this game called peekaboo is actually, which is universal by it's a human universal, is actually helping the child learn that when something disappears visually, it doesn't mean it's gone away. And up to a certain age, a child can't play peekaboo. And there's all kinds of psychologists that made careers out of this. No, I'm serious about secure attachments and non-attachments or borderline personalities based on instability of objects, and it gets more and more technical. But it's really as simple as this, as peekaboo. Basically, not there, but you're going to come back. And so he plays peekaboo, and then as the child gets older, he or she learns, well, okay, so even though I can't see her, she's still there, so she can go to the kitchen, I'm all right. Or she can go to the grocery store, and I'm okay. I've got someone else to hang out with. So a lot of these games, and patty cake, that's all coordination. All of these, quote, games are not games at all. They are brain development, big time.